Let's talk running. This is a special video which is put together as we reach the final 10 games of the Football League season for the Mariners, and we've got 10 games remaining, and I'm going to take you through my thoughts on the running and whether I think it's going to be a good or bad period for the Mariners. So we'll go through the fixtures one by one, give my thoughts on is it a good running, a tough running, or a nice running. My initial thoughts is a varied running, I would say. So if we look at the 10 games as a whole that the Mariners have left, we've got, and these are the games one by one that we have left. Fleetwood at home, Barrow at home, Cambridge United away, Chesterfield away, Harrogate at home, Crawley away, Crewe at home, Gillingham away, Swindon at home, and there is one other which is, let me just get that, double check that. Yeah, there's one more, which is of course Tranmere away from home. If you look at that on face value, and we'll look at it and talk you through the table as well during these sort of fixtures. You got Fleetwood and Barrow. You know, Fleetwood on very good form at the moment. Similar to yesterday's opponents. And Barrow, they're struggling, fighting for their lives really, and obviously the return of Danny Rose that day. You look at those two games in general, you think, two nice fixtures. Then you've got Cambridge and Chesterfield. Of course, there is speculation about the Chesterfield fixture, and even the Cambridge fixture with the international call-ups, but that'll come out hopefully this week. But then, like I said, then you've got two, one's promotion contender, one's a playoff contender, back to back, and then we then host Harrogate and Crawley, two struggling teams, and you're thinking, well, hosting Harrogate at home and then going to Crawley on Easter Monday. The Easter fixtures are quite kind if you look at them on an individual basis. You're thinking, Town are definitely not out of this. And then you've then got Crewe and Swindon being the last home game of the season on April the 25th. A tough trip to Gillingham. It's always difficult going to Gillingham on the 18th of April. And Tranmere, you're thinking, well, that actually could be a nice away trip on the last day. The fixtures really are, I'm going to say, in one aspect, because I will put another side to this, in one aspect, it's a nice running. It's a kind of running than we've had for a while, really, where you look at the games and go, Town will be favourites for at least, maybe, I would probably say 6 of those 10 games. Fleetwood, Barrow, Harrogate, Crawley, and that's why I think you don't get carried away with a loss yesterday, because, like I said, Oldham have been in good form before they played, so that's going to be, in the end, it was no real surprise. But if we now just look at Fleetwood and Barrow in twos now, you've got Fleetwood that are on similar form really to Oldham. But it's here which we need to try and make it we need to definitely make our home games count during this running. Having 5 home games left, we've got to try and make them count. And if you just look at the home games, bar Swindon, they're all winnable games. Fleetwood, Barrow, I think Crawley's away, sorry, but Harrogate, Crewe, they're all sort of the kind home games, really, apart from maybe, I think they all are, because Town could win them all. But definitely the next 2, they're kind of, you fear Barrow, not because of who Barrow are, but because of Danny Rose coming back. Is it inevitable that Danny's going to score a goal? And that worries anybody coming up next weekend. Is Rosie going to, put a spanner in the works? And you got some tough trips. I mean, Crawley away is not going to be an easy trip. Neither's Gillingham. And obviously the trip to Cambridge, when that does get played, whether it gets played over the international break or whether it doesn't, the pressure could be off on that fixture though, because they're a good side, but obviously former Mariner as well playing for them in goal in Jake Eastwood. I think the overall running for Grimsby is quite kind. It is quite a kind running, I think, really. And like I said, Tranmere on the last day, they could be fighting for their lives. They might need something out of that game on the last day. It's going to be an intriguing last 10, really. Because like I said, after Fleetwood and Barrow, like I said, you should have then Cambridge away and Chesterfield away. 2 very, very tough away games. If they both go ahead, but Chesterfield will have to be. It could be a Thursday where Chesterfield gets played. Maybe even as late as before, maybe the Wednesday before Tranmere, if one of those games has to get replayed. But back to back, you've got 2 favourable games. The next 2, you've got 2 massive games in regards to the playoffs and so on. The following 2 to end this month, and then I think the 2 games coming up are going to be key, because if we can win both of those, I think the loss from yesterday will get forgotten. And like I said, they're moving into April. We've got 6 games as of now. 5 games, planned for April. 3 being at home and 3 being away. And then you've got Harrogate at home, Crewe at home, where they're so up and down, you don't know what Crewe you're going to get. And then finishing with Holloway Swindon. You look at it really and go, I'll take that as a run-in. I always think whenever you go away, especially to teams that, in Gillingham's case, they'll have nothing to really play for, that could make them dangerous in April. You've got Crawley, who are going to be fighting for their lives. That makes the Easter Monday trip a lot more difficult. Harrogate here, rarely at home. We should really have enough to get past Harrogate. Obviously, like I said, a trip to Gillingham is never easy, but I think their season will be over by then. So whether they'll be as motivated to win, I don't know. I know that Gareth Ainsworth is not one to throw the towel in type thing. So he won't want his Gillingham side to sort of be on the beach, but they very well could be. And obviously finishing in the start of May away at Tranmere on the 2nd of May. With that game, it will depend obviously on where we are and where Tranmere are, because Tranmere are in terrible form at the moment, and there is a possibility they could get sucked into the relegation scrap, and they might need something from that last game. I think what Town ideally would want is teams that aren't really playing for anything, but a majority of the teams will be playing for something. Like I said, Chesterfield and Cambridge, they'll be chasing playoffs like ourselves, or automatic promotion in Cambridge's case. And every game for them could be a banana skin. Hopefully, after listening to our tell yesterday, we will see Chaz before the end of the season. We'll see where that goes, but apparently we will see Chaz before the end of the season. That he almost guaranteed. So if we look overall at the minute of the position of the teams that we play, as of right now, this could change. Obviously, league positions could change by then, but the league position of the teams that we've got read as follows. Cambridge are in 3rd, Chesterfield are 7th, Barrow obviously down in 23rd, Tranmere down in 20th, Gillingham 16th, Fleetwood 14th, Crewe in 9th, and Swindon in 6th. All still to play, and you're thinking you can look at it two ways. It is a great running, as in you've got some winnable fixtures there. It can also be taken as that is one of the toughest run-ins. I look at it as though I'm thriving on this running. I'm excited for this running. Because League Two, I was talking to a friend yesterday before the game, in fact, and we were saying after the Chesterfield result against Notts County, this league is crazy. This league is absolutely crazy. Apart from really Bromley and MK Dons, only in the last couple of months with MK Dons, really, no one's pulling up any trees. You would say Salford at the minute, they've now gone on a winning streak. They've had a massive losing streak. They're now going on a bit of a winning streak, 4 in the last 5. But with the games that we've got left, it'll be an intriguing last 10. I would say with the fixture list that we've got, do I think we will squeak a playoff place? I'm going to say yes, because of the variedness of it, and most of the teams are going to, the majority of them are going for something. I think the most dangerous game, I believe, is Gillingham, because I believe even by that point, Gillingham won't be going for anything. They won't be playing for anything, so they're literally probably the most dangerous. You could say Fleetwood, due to the fact that they are still in the running for a playoff place. They're only 5 points back, so they're definitely not out of the running. But I would say Gillingham is our most dangerous fixture, because they're probably the only team that we've got to play in the last 10 that realistically, they're not going to get up in the top 7. and they're not really going to go down. It's like they're not good enough to challenge at the top end, but they're not bad enough to go down at the same time. So it's, you know, just the way the fixture is, we've got the bottom three all coming up in the last 10. As much as we've got playoff rivals in Swindon and Chesterfield and Crewe in the last 10. You know, it's, what would you rather do? Obviously, you'd rather go on a 10-game winning run. We know that that's not going to happen. But I don't think either during this running that we can pinpoint any of them, because I think that the games against the bottom sides are going to be tough. You know, going against Harrogate and going against Barrow and going against Crawley, they're going to be difficult for a completely different position to going against, example, Chesterfield and Swindon. Because, you know, and I haven't mentioned Cambridge due to the fact we don't know where that game's, or when that game's probably going to go ahead. But it's, I think they are more difficult than the Chesterfield, Swindon and the Cambridge, because you kind of know what you're going to get from them. And watching Chesterfield yesterday against Notts County, they're very open. It's a game that I think will suit David Artell's style of play, really. Chesterfield, I really do. Swindon the same. They play very, very open and very expansive football. Whereas you look at a team like Cambridge, they don't. They're not as expansive as those other two. They can win ugly, I would say, Cambridge. But then you look at the well, 4 of the bottom 5 teams that we've actually got in the last 10. I mean, that's another reason that you're thinking. I think they, as well, are more difficult than, like I said, the Swindons or the Chesterfields, because they're fighting for something. They're battling for something which we know all too well about, which is league survival. I would rather, in our last 10 games, play from 12th up. And you think about it, 4 out of the bottom 5 we've got in the last 10 games. So half our games against the bottom 5, and the other half are against teams that are 14th or 16th as it is, or, you know, our highest remaining opposition is 6th. Well, 3rd, sorry, but our highest remaining combination besides Cambridge is 6th in Swindon, and our lowest is bottom. It's going to be a very intriguing last 10. Am I nervous about this running? No, I'm more intrigued about the running. About you know, you look at it and you're going to pinpoint the bottom 5, aren't you? And say, well, if you win those 5 games, if we were to win those 5 games, that's 15 points, which at the minute would put the Mariners on 51 points. Sorry, 71 points. Not 51 points, we're on 56 already. We'd be on 71 points if we were to win just those 5 games. That would probably get you in the playoffs, that 71 points. So do you pinpoint the bottom 5 and not worry so much about Swindon, Chesterfield or Swindon? Or do you pinpoint the Swindon and Chesterfields and the Cambridges, those 3 games, over the other 5? You know, over the bottom 5. I think if we're going to make the playoffs, I think you've got to win 6 out of the 10. And I say 6 out of the 10 due to the fact that, you know, you're looking at Gillingham and you're looking at the the bottom 5 that we are playing, you know, if you do that, that's 18 points out of the last 30. That could be enough to get you in the playoff places. Do you need to beat Chesterfield? Do you need to beat Cambridge? You know, do you need to beat Swindon? You know, because would those other 6 games get you in it? And that, you know, or do you pinpoint the ones around you, get the points against them, and sort of not worry so much whether you get points against the bottom, you know, and thinking about it after watching yesterday's game, this is probably the most exciting run-in I think Town's been in for a long time, because you've got everybody bar Gillingham, and I'm sorry any Gillingham fans that are watching this video, they're the only team that really won't be playing for anything, realistically. I mean, Gillingham obviously mathematically, with 30 points left, could have an absolute blinder and win 9 out of the next 10. And then they'll be in the playoff. Well, they'd be in the playoffs, I think, if they did that. But with all due respect to Gillingham, they're probably the one team that don't really have much chance of doing anything. And that's where I think that what's going to be so good in this 10-game run-in for Grimsby is every single team we're playing in this run-in, again, apologies, bar Gillingham, are playing for something. Which is going to make the games tense. They're going to make the games tough. They're going to make the games difficult. Because you're playing something. It's like playing Crewe. Crewe are as streaky as Salford. I mean, Walsall, after their win, and obviously because we play Crewe in a few weeks' time, you know, they've had a bounce with Down Byfield, getting a 3-0 win over Crewe. But Crewe have lost the last 2 or 3 out of the last 6, if you want to put it that way. But with Crewe, you don't know what you're going to get. Crewe are quintessentially in this running for us. They're Pandora's box. They're like a box of chocolates, Crewe. You don't know if they're going to turn up and perform or whether they're going to be as flat as a pancake. But you've got to take it as though they're going to turn up and blow everybody away type thing. You've got to take them like that. Whereas, again, just a little bit more on this. If you look at the 4 of the bottom 5 teams, which we've got in this running, 27, 29, 30, 36, you know, 27, 29, 30 and 36 points. Tranmere is not safe. They are 7 points from Barrow. Crawley, obviously not safe. Harrogate bottom, not playing like they're bottom. They were very unlucky yesterday as I record this, you know. And you're thinking to yourself, I love this for us, really, as a running. Only one of the teams really aren't playing for anything, realistically. So, you know, it's like people say, well, if you want to do anything, you've got to beat the teams like Oldham. Well, Oldham are in the playoff push. And I will put them in that playoff push after beating us yesterday, you know. They're in that playoff push. You know, they're not pushovers. They did their job. They made it difficult. They had a direct thing. We got things wrong yesterday. I look at this and go, this is the kind of running, though, I want Grimsby to have. I want this running where none of our opponents really none of our opponents that we play near enough are not playing for anything. They're all all the games are going to mean something to us, but also to the teams that we're playing. So this is, I'm not going to say it's a tough run-in. I'm not going to say it's an easy run-in. It's an exciting run-in. It's an exciting run-in. We haven't got a Shrewsbury. We haven't got a... we haven't got... we haven't got a Bristol Rovers, who, even though we have lost them recently, but we haven't got them in the running per se. You know, we haven't got Cheltenham, who you've got 3 teams there that they won't because of their managers, obviously, but they could be on the beach because they're not going to go down now. I can't see Bristol Rovers now really going down, but they've got to be careful because they could get dragged into it. But, you know, you haven't got those 3 teams in the running where you're thinking, well, they're not really playing for anything. Everybody at the moment that we've got in our last 10 games is playing for something. Fleetwood still playing for a playoff possibility. We're playing obviously for the playoff possibility. Barrow, relegation. Harrogate, relegation. Crawley, relegation. Tranmere, relegation. Swindon, Chesterfield, playoff promotion. Cambridge, automatic promotion. It's one of the best run-ins that Town could literally have, is that there's not going to be one single game, Crew, playoffs. You know, there's not going to be a single game in the last 10 games that is going to be nerve-wracking. That's not going to be nerve-wracking. That's not going to be edgy. We could get a lot more games like Oldham in respect of you won't want to make a mistake, because any mistake, any loss is going to kick the other team in the teeth. You know, because it's going to cost them points that they really can't afford to drop around. I look at this as another way of putting it, of just an exciting run-in. It's probably the best running Town could ask for. I'd hate to be playing a Cheltenham right now. I'd hate to be playing a Bristol Rovers right now. I'd hate to be playing a Cheltenham, and like I said again, or an Accrington. You know, I'd hate to be playing them in this running. I know we've got one with it being Gillingham, but I'd hate to be playing them in our last 10, because they're not really going to go down, are they? Realistically. So they won't be playing for anything, which could make them more difficult to beat, actually. People would say it might make them easier to beat. I think it makes them more difficult because from a fan perspective on them, I don't know. I'd like to get some of their fans' perspectives on this, but I think it would make it harder for us to get up to play a team like Cheltenham than it would a team like Chesterfield, or it will Swindon, or it will even Fleetwood on Tuesday night, because we need the bounce back. I'm glad we've got these fixtures and not those 3 or 4 from Bristol Rovers up to Gillingham. I know we've got one of those, but actually this is one of the best run-ins Town could honestly get, because every game's going to mean something. Every game, it could be a 1-goal margin that wins it. It could be an absolute Jamie Walker screamer from 35 yards against Cambridge. It could be a last-minute tap-in by Jays Cabia. It could be a Drynan goal in the last minute, which cancels us out, but it still gives us enough to make the playoffs. It is one of the most exciting run-ins. When I looked at the run-in last night before I did this video, I thought we can't ask for a better running than this, because nearly every team that we're playing in this running is playing for something, so they're going to be as anxious as us, and that's what I mean. If we can make definitely the 5 home games count, that could be enough to get us in the playoffs. We could win 5 and lose 4, or win 5, lose 3 and draw 1 and still make the playoffs. Because everybody is going to be on edge. Even Cambridge is still going to be on edge. You know, even though they got the win and now they're 4 points ahead of Notts County. Notts County have got to be careful. Salford have got to be careful, mainly Notts County, because, you know, they could easily find themselves outside the playoffs, depending on their running. I don't know Notts County's running. But if we were to look at ours and go, do you know what, guys, this is why I'm going to go with our term and say the manager needs us and the players need us. We have got 10 really exciting, thrilling games left where everything is on the line in every single game. No one's going to run away with this playoff run. I know at the minute it looks like, you know, we're on 56, Chesterfield on 59, Swindon's on 63. You know, that's how the 6, 7 and 8 look. But we've got the game in hand on Chesterfield. And if the Chesterfield game didn't go ahead or the Cambridge game doesn't go ahead, we're gonna have a game in another game in hand on a couple of them. Wow, thinking about it as I'm doing this video is like, yeah, I'm disappointed to lose to Oldham, but we've lost to a playoff rival, which I can now officially call them a playoff rival. They're obviously a lot lower down, but I say a lot lower down in points wise. You know, we're only 3 points off Chesterfield, but that win for Chesterfield, it made the Oldham loss hurt more. But I'm really looking forward to this running. I want Mariners fans to let me know, honestly, are you nervous? Is that what's making that Oldham loss hurt more? Is it nerves? But I'm looking at it going, the lads, us fans, and I think we're going to have 10 games where there's going to be something on every single one of them. Every single team that we play will be as edgy as us. Because they're all playing for something. I look at this and go, it really couldn't be a better running than what we could have had. You know what I mean? Where you've got teams that are going for nothing. So, guys, let me know down below. Fans of teams that we played, teams of Crewe, Walsall, Barnet, Oldham. So we don't play Barnet, apologies. But I'd even like to get their take on it because, you know, Chesterfield, Swindon, Salford, Cambridge, you know, the teams that either we played recently or definitely the 10 teams that we're going to play. I want to get their views on it as well. No one's out of this. And I could not be more excited about a running that Towns had in a long time. You know, everyone's going for something that the Mariners play, apart from Gillingham. And I think it is going to be one of the most tense run-ins, and every result is going to matter, and that's how you want it in football. You want the result to matter. You don't want a result, you know, we could have got a point there against Oldham, and it would have been a massive point, even though we didn't play very well. It only hurts because we didn't get a point. We didn't deserve a point. let's be honest. But that point would have been... It's like getting that point against Bromley last week. That got us in the playoff places. But it felt like maybe a loss at the time. But it was as important as the loss was to Oldham yesterday. It's going to be a fascinating run-in. Mariners fans, let me know what you think. Fans of Crewe and fans of Fleetwood, fans of Chesterfield, let me know as well how you feel about your run-ins. Be interesting to get that fan perspective as to what they feel like for the run-ins. And anyone around the playoff picture or relegation picture, really, because we play near enough all of you. We play nearly all the bottom teams in the last 10. You can't get more dramatic and more tense than this. And I as a person thrive on pressure. And I think Town will. I really do. I think we'll thrive on it. And it'll be who's got the bigger bottle in these last 10 games. We'll get 7th or 6th or 7th. It's whoever has the bigger bottle. And it's going to come down to who drops the least points. But everyone's fallible. Everybody's fallible. Everybody can lose in this league. Everybody can drop points in this league. Everybody can win in this league. So I'm looking forward to this run-in. And I'd like to get everyone's opinion. Let me know down below, and this is going to go on to Football League pages as well. Let me know, anyone with the run-ins are like this, just what your thoughts are. But Mariners fans specifically, how are you feeling heading into these 10 games? I'll just take you through those 10 games one last time before I finish. So the Mariners run-in officially is home to Fleetwood, home to Barrow, away to Cambridge, away to Chesterfield. We'll see whether those games get rearranged. I know one of them would have to be. But then we've got in April, we're home to Harrogate, away to Crawley, home to Crewe, away to Gillingham, at home to Swindon, and we finish away at Tranmere. I'm looking forward to this, and as a Grimsby fan, I'm ready for battle, because that is what this run-in for Grimsby especially is going to be. So Mariners fans, let me know down below what you guys honestly think. Are you nervous after that loss yesterday, or are you like me and sort of revigorated to go, right, let's go for this? I always say, when you're in running time, where are you? Where are you? And we're just outside the playoff places. And with 10 games to go, we're playing teams that have got something to play for in nearly every single game. You can't ask, as a sports fan, for anything better than that. But let me know what you guys think of the running. And, as fellow Mariners, how many points do you think the Mariners need to maybe guarantee a playoff place? I'm thinking 18. I think we need probably 18 more points to maybe guarantee a playoff place. And that is not beyond the realms of possibility, but you've got to be ready to scrap, especially with the Barrows, especially with the Tranmeres, especially with the Harrogates. You've got to be prepared to scrap. And I'm going to pick out a player that I think is going to be really important in our running. Obviously, positional-wise, it'll be the midfielders. I think that they're going to be, after yesterday's not so great performance, I think they're going to be key. I think Greeny's going to be key. But I am going to pick out Andy Cook. I think Andy Cook is going to play a vital role, and Jays KB, but mainly Andy Cook. He's going to play a vital role in whether we make the playoffs or not. I think his contribution up front alongside Jays, I think he has to play with Jays. Or if you have to put Jays in as the winger, do it. You know what I mean? Do it. I know that's not his preferred position, but 4-4-2, like I said in my review yesterday, doesn't happen these days. You very, very rarely see a manager go 4-4-2. But Andy Cook is going to be massively important. His physical presence up there, and everyone's going to have to play a part in it. But I am buzzing for this. I am really, really looking forward to this running of probably being as nervous in these last 10 games, close to how nervous as I was during the National League playoff campaign. But really, really looking forward to this. So everybody, leave your comments down below. Do like, do share, do subscribe. And, you know, this video's gone a while, but, you know, all these things is you just got to be looking forward to what will be, I believe, for Grimsby, an exciting finish. Let's see what we can do to finish it off. In the meantime, guys, like, share, comment and subscribe. I'll be back with a preview. It will come tomorrow after I believe there'll be a pre-match press conference with David Artell, obviously probably asking about injuries and that. I'll be back with that very, very soon. And one other thing before I finish, it's not about the running, but what I do want to do is just, again, and I think I've done this in a couple of videos, but I do want to say congratulations to the women's team on winning promotion from their level and back up to I think it's to level 8 that they're playing, but well done to them, you know, with about 3 or 4 games to spare, unbeaten this season in the league. Well done to them. They're doing Grimsby Town proud, and the men are doing us, you know, men are doing Grimsby Town proud. The youth team are doing fantastic, but well done to the ladies. Fantastic season for them. Hopefully they can stay unbeaten for the remaining 3 or 4 games of their season, and things are all still good around Grimsby Town. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll be back with a preview for Fleetwood on Monday. So look out for that. Hit that bell button. That'll let you know when it gets uploaded. And I will see you in the next one. Until then, up the manners and welcome to the running, guys. I'll see you soon. Ta-ra for now.